With Creed 2 opening this week, instead of reviewing every Rocky movie leading up to it, I've decided to do another installment of This or That, the show where I compare a movie to one of its later installments, its remake, or its reboot. And today, I'm going to compare the classic film Rocky to its 7th installment, Creed. Rocky is considered by many to be one of the great American classics, with many praising its underdog story and its themes of the American dream. It won Best Picture that year, and followed that up with sequels that got worse and worse reviews as they went on. But then in 2006, Rocky Balboa came swinging into the ring and received surprisingly strong reviews from critics. And 9 years later, a 7th installment of the series was released called Creed. Directed by Ryan Coogler, who'd later go on to direct Black Panther, this film blew everyone away with how good it was. Not only did it boast even stronger reviews than the original Rocky, but this might have just saved Sylvester Stallone's career. His performance was so good and so well received that he even got an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. An Oscar nomination, something no one had ever thought he would ever get again. But there still are die-hard fans of the franchise that say the original Rocky is better. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to compare Rocky to Creed to find out which one is the better film. Now keep in mind, film is subjective and this is all my personal opinion. With that said, let's start comparing. Let's talk about story structure. This is one aspect that the original Rocky would sometimes stumble on. There are a lot of scenes that are meant to be impactful, but they don't really go anywhere. Take the scene where Paulie goes apeshit, yelling at his sister and Rocky. It just sort of happens and never really goes anywhere. The characters are also questionable at times, making random decisions without much of a segue. Like when Mickey Goldmill says he wants to train Rocky for his fight with Apollo Creed, even though he had no previous interest in Rocky at all. And it seems to be that, Rocky, saying, well, I asked you to train me, and, why didn't you train me? But, we never saw that, and we don't really get a whole lot of context to that whole issue that they had. So, like I said, it kind of comes out of nowhere, to be honest. At least with Rocky being reluctant to train Donnie, there is a logical segue to his decision to train him. Mickey's decision just comes out of nowhere. Now let's compare the romances in both films. In all honesty, I never bought into Rocky and Adrian's relationship in the first film. At least in the first half. Rocky felt very forceful in trying to woo Adrian, pushing up against her without her permission, closing the door in a forceful way. This isn't the way you treat women. This is the kind of shit you'd see in a Me Too report. The romance got better in the second half, but in my opinion, it really did start off very forceful, and it kind of sours the whole romance a bit for me. Donnie and Bianca feel like a legit couple. They both have their upsides and their downsides, and it always feels like there's a mutual respect for each other as people. Now let's compare the man himself, Rocky Balboa. Like I said before, he makes some questionable decisions in the first film, making him hard to identify with at times. Especially with the whole romance stuff in the first half of Rocky. As I said before, he comes across as kind of a jerk. He comes across as very creepy and forceful, acting very inappropriately towards this woman. In Creed, he's facing much more serious and personal issues. I won't give away specifically what it is, but it's actually very welcome, and shows that Rocky needs to cope with the fact that he's getting old and that his boxing has done a lot of damage to him. There's also a strong sense that Rocky and Donnie need each other. Donnie needs a father figure and a good influence on his life, and Rocky needs that anchor to keep him going in life. Also, I feel like the themes in Creed haven't truly been explored that much in other movies. That being, you shouldn't be afraid to bear the name of who you are, but make your own legacy with that name. And that's what Creed succeeds at. It's in the Rocky franchise, and there are many homages to the original film. But just like The Force Awakens, it still does a lot to distinguish itself from the crowd. And this is why I feel like Creed is one of the best sequels ever made. Yeah, Rocky will likely be remembered more, but if you're asking my opinion, Creed will hold up more as the better film as time goes on. So, what do you think of the Rocky franchise? Which is your favorite film in the Rocky franchise? And are you excited for Creed 2? Let me know down in the comments below what you think, and thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like, share the video so we can get the channel circulated. Don't forget to support my Patreon on my Patreon page, or if you can't do that, then consider donating to my PayPal donation button in the description below. And if you want to see more, click this.